Good morning. This is Amber Brazil. I'm reporting for Lions Chronicle. I am here with Provost Dr. Ray Wallace, and we are going to be discussing sequestration today. Good morning, Dr. Wallace.
Good morning, and good morning, viewers and readers of the Lions Chronicle. It's good to talk to you today.
Thank you so much for meeting with us.
Sure.
We sure appreciate you. Would you please begin by defining sequestration for our audience?
Sequestration is it's an odd phrase. I've heard it humorously defined as it's Latin for bad budget planning. But really what I think the best thing we can say about it is a end point when politicians of all stripes in Washington, D.C. were unable to agree about how to cut spending and increase revenue to come closer balancing budgets. And instead of finally breaking down and talking to each other and trying to figure out what was best for the country, both sides of the House and both political sides basically retreated and allowed this measure that no one thought would ever come to pass to be enacted. And what it has done is, at this stage, still not 100% certain what all these cuts mean. But for higher education, we can take some educated guesses about what it might mean.
Okay.
So it's a failure to communicate. It's the result of a failure to communicate, and now the citizenry of this country will pay for that lack of communication.
That's beautifully put.
Okay.
Can you tell me how this sequestration is going to affect UAFS in particular?
Well, let's just say this: sequestration is going to cut about 8%, almost 9% of the non-military spending budget across the country.
Oh my
Now,
goodness.
how does that impact UAFS students? First and foremost, I have to tell you that Pell Grants will not be cut.
Oh, fantastic.
So that's part of the 2013 budget that was not cut. Pell Grants were not cut.
Wonderful.
However, if you are getting a new student loan, you can look at a federal loan that will go up 8.2, 8.3%.
Oh my goodness.
You can look at if you were on federal work study, which some of our students are.
Yes.
You could look at that being cut. You can look at that, frankly, disappearing.
Oh no.
If you look at some of our programs like Upward Bound, the federal funding on Upward Bound, on the TRIO programs that lots of our developmental studies work is sponsored by, there are going to be big cuts in those. That could be up to 10% cuts in those, which is an incredible amount of money.
Yes.
We're not going to be as affected as quickly as, say, a major Research 1 school in terms of federal grants. We get federal grants and they'll be cut, but we don't get as many. We do get some federal research grants. They will be cut.
Oh goodness.
We don't know the percentage of the cut. We do know that they'll be cut, and then we know that as this continues, the opportunities for us to apply for more federal funding for various programs, whether that be engineering or the work that's done in CAST or the work that's done in any of our colleges that have a federal component to it, those grants and those opportunities are going to be greatly restricted. So as I say, it's not that it's gloom and doom, and it's not that we're saying this is going to happen and this is going to happen and this is going to happen, but what's really the problem is that as this continues, we are going to end up with more and more cuts. I'll give you a perfect example of an unintended circumstance. We have a situation where we will have some student groups going in Maymester to Washington, D.C.
Yes.
And they're going to be touring various areas of D.C., talking about political structures, historical areas, even literary areas. Well, it's not clear that a lot of those will be open. The White House will not be open for tours, we do know that,
Oh, my.
because of sequestration. It's not clear how much of the Smithsonian will remain open. No one really knows yet.
Really?
And so, it's a problem.
Right,
It's a
right.
problem, but it's not entirely clear. It's not. I can't be entirely clear how it's going to impact UAFS and UAFS students. I can tell you that if UAFS students, current ones or prospective ones, are looking for federal student loans, those are going to be more expensive than they were before.
Goodness,
So
goodness.
that's that.
Okay, so from what you've said, I can tell that the future ramifications are not known yet, not completely.
No.
And it would be impossible to tell at this point, what those ramifications are. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah, we can guess. Now we can guess that you're going to look at about between an 8 and a 10% cut in a lot of federal programs.
Okay.
But as to what that means to the ordinary student at UAFS in October, we don't know that yet.
Okay.
And no one's telling us.
Oh, boy, that's hard. Do you have any advice for students?
Well, this is an odd thing to say to the students here. Sequestration is a federal problem.
Mm-hmm.
It obviously impacts people at a local level.
Mm-hmm.
I would say also that I would watch very carefully, though, the bills that are being considered right now in the Arkansas House.
Okay.
Now that's not federal and that's not sequestration, but I just want to tell you. If you'll just give me 1 minute. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
you're
trying
fine.
to find the numbers on these bills. Bill 1481,
Mm-hmm.
Bill 1041,
Mm-hmm.
Bill 1585 and 1586. Those four bills, if they were passed,
Mm-hmm.
would cut funding to higher education by a huge amount.
Oh,
And
goodness.
so we are very worried about those bills, and we are contacting legislators. We are, there's a sort of a groundswell of student government and faculty and staff and alumni talking to local politicians
Mhm.
to say, okay, federal government is cutting us through sequestration, but you are about to cut higher education to irrevocably damage it.
Oh,
And so we're fighting with that. So I guess my message to students is, listen, college is the best years of your life. You have a great time. You learn a lot of stuff. You meet some great friends. But you really should be looking at what's going on politically, both in the State House in Little Rock and then in D.C. It's important that you understand that if politicians don't hear from you in terms of your concerns about possible cuts, then those cuts will go ahead.
okay. So what you're saying is it's the students' responsibility to contact their
Sure, their representatives.
local politicians,
Yes.
their reps and senators, and
And tell them that you don't want cuts to higher education.
okay,
It's
fantastic.
it's important.
It's just that simple.
It's democracy. That's
Yes.
democracy.
Yes,
And we often forget that democracy is the will of the people.
absolutely. Amen. Go there.
So there you are.
And well, thank you so much, Dr. Wallace.
No
Is there
problem.
anything that you would like to add before we?
No, not really. I just hope everybody's having a good semester. I know finals will be coming up soon,
Yes,
and so study hard.
absolutely. Thank you so much,
All right.
Dr.
All
Wallace.
right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Find us at lionschronicle.uafs.edu. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter.